Okay, so I am a mental health therapist who recently became a coach for single women. And I'll tell you a little bit about my therapist background. So I've been a therapist now for a little over 10 years. And my specialty has become focusing on helping people heal from childhood trauma. Um, that's basically my niche area. And I'm also certified in EMDR, which is basically a special trauma based therapy. It stands for, I don't know if you want that, it stands for eye movement desensitization reprocessing. So, yeah, basically, it's kind of a higher level type of way to help people heal from trauma. It was originally developed for veterans.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry if I'm talking too fast.
No, no, this is the benefit of it being recorded. So then I could go back and I could take the notes. So no, that's fine. And I'm just trying to write down on my end as well, too.
Okay.
All right. The next question is, what does it mean? What does making yourself a priority mean and involve?
It's I think it really varies per person because everyone's life is different, everyone's schedule is different. But I would really say starting with the small things, especially for people especially for women who are not used to making themselves a priority. It's a big question, but even something small as saying no to something you really don't want to do, which is something that I know is not always easy for women to say no, especially depending on who's asking and what type of involvement it is.
That is wonderful. Yes, I definitely agree with that. Saying no can really be hard, especially for women, period, because it's like we're always saying yes in our jobs and our families,
Mhm.
friends. And it's like sometimes it's like, I really don't want to do that. And then we throw in that but and we try to make it seem better. But, that saying no, it really is hard. So I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
The next question, what does self love mean to you?
Mm. I always say I love deep self-love because I hear like self-love, self-care has been trending a lot, especially the last few years. And I used to just kind of get annoyed because, and I think also as a therapist, I'm like, that's not really deep self. It's not, it's not getting to the core of it. I think a lot of what's out there is very surface level and it helps in the moment, but long term, it's not beneficial. And yeah, I'll share more, but let me go back to your question. For me, what it really looks like is loving all of myself, all the different parts of myself, from my hair, from my body, from my weight to um, also understanding how valuable I am, my self worth. Um, just yeah. So to me, that is really and I know self-love is a journey, but I really think we have to start working on getting to the core, the root of it.
Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, because for many, many years when I was in my 20s, I thought self-love was me taking time off from work and going on a trip. And I had to realize like, no, it's deeper than that. And um even going back to what you were saying before about making yourself a priority is part of self-love and saying no, having healthy boundaries. There's so many different factors to self-love. Um it's yes, but I think for anyone who is really starting off with trying to dig deeper, again, just doing one small thing. For example, I had a post where I said, "What's your biggest struggle with practicing self-love. And a lot of people were talking about like not making the time for it, not, again, like you said, making yourself a priority. So I really encourage people just to do one small thing for yourself each day. And this could be from putting your phone on do not disturb for 15, 20 minutes and just sitting with yourself and just having a quiet moment of doing nothing, the art of doing nothing. Or for some people, it could be them just sitting in their car and disconnecting from everyone, family, or their work email, or anything that they feel tries to take their energy or their peace. So yeah, I really encourage, especially women, to just find one small thing to do each day for themselves.
That really is deep, especially when you said to stay away from things that can take your energy. And when you had said about 15 or 20 minutes, just the art of doing nothing, just sitting. A lot of people, they don't get that time. So that right there, that one small thing, that can really make a big difference.
Yeah.
The next one, what inspired you to start Single Ladies Coaching?
Yes. Um, so just to share a little bit more about my personal background, that's where it came from because I used to struggle with being single, being alone. I was constantly in relationships and they weren't necessarily the healthiest or what I would want long term, but I was just kind of in it because part of me didn't really want to be single. There was this stigma that I felt like there must be something is wrong with me, why I'm still single or why I'm not married yet, especially over 30. And it's like, no, 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 nothing's wrong. So this kind of inspired me because I'm like, I have a lot of single women friends, and I really wanted to just help women feel empowered. Like nothing is wrong with you. You can feel complete and whole without being with a man or being in a relationship. And also, single ladies coaching. I'm really a strong believer about sisterhood and the power behind being with other like-minded women. And there is so much healing even with that, and being with other women and how we love on each other and support each other. Um, the women that I've been connected with really have been essential to my healing journey as well. And overall, I just don't think that we're meant to do life alone. And while we're single, and this is a temporary, this is a temporary season. We're not meant to be single forever. But while we're single, it is good to especially be in community with like-minded women and celebrate each other and lift each other up.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I'm really glad that you ended up starting that because this is something that we don't generally see. So more things like this, they really need to happen. Um,
Yeah.
the next question, how does self-love and making yourself a priority correlate with one another? We may have already covered that.
Yeah. Let me see what I can add on to that. Making yourself a priority. And when I think back to some of the feedback that I got from women was I, I had to start digging, and I realized that some women may not, how do I say, not believe that they are worthy of self-love. Like again, there's deeper rooted issues sometimes going on there. Because I have to I challenge some people and I ask like, why do you think you're not making it a priority? Why is everyone else more important than you are? um and these are somewhat can be heavy questions. I think I sometimes live in my therapy world, and so these things just come up for me or I share on them, but for other people it's like it can be a lot to process that. Yeah.
Next question, How important is it for women to establish regular self-love routines?
Did you say how important?
Hold on. I said how how important is it for women to establish regular self-love routines?
Okay. I would say very important. But I always say small steps matter. Doing just something small each day over time. And I think again, challenging yourself to go deeper. Women need to go deeper than just bubble baths and candles. And I do those things and I think they are essential in the moment, but long term, they're not getting to the root of things. So, like something challenging yourself could be thinking about, why is it difficult for me to say no to certain people? What is that about? What is the fear there? Is it people pleasing? Is it you feel like you need to prove you can be a part of all of these different um activities and um events? Like that's part of my story. I used to say yes because I felt like I can handle it all. I can just keep doing all these things and burning myself out at the same time. So, yeah.
What inspired you to host the Galentine's Day event?
Going back again to sisterhood. I am such a big just believer of sisterhood, and I know especially with black women that it's not always, how do I say? I think there sometimes people will feel like because they've had bad experiences with women, like we all may have, or been hurt by another woman or a female friend. But I think overall, there are more positive relationships out there and women who are open to having a very strong, solid friendship with another woman. And so I really, yeah, I wanted to bring women together for that, for empowerment, for healing, for support, for encouragement, for love. Um, and we are better together. We really are. We all have unique gifts and abilities. And I think when we come together, we're even more unstoppable.
What do you want women to gain from your services and events?
Deeper healing and deeper love for themselves. And this may sound cliche, but I really believe when we start to heal, the generations that will follow and even past generations, the impact that we'll have, we literally will be changing the world. Woman by woman, each of us are connected with, whether we have children or not, but there are people in our families that are watching us, that are looking at us. I know I have little cousins who are like reaching out to me and saying, like, wow, Toy, I see what you're doing. And um, so, yeah, I really want women really, and at the end of the day, to tap into, I talk about being like the joyful powerhouses that we were designed to be. And I really believe that God created each and every one of us to be that powerhouse. However, I think because of different life experiences, it our lights have been dimmed and we don't always know how to access the power that's within us. Um, so I think, yeah, overall, that's really what I want for women to also understand and tap into their power. And yeah.
What advice would you give to women on a self-love journey?
Don't stop, sis. Don't stop. It can be we distractions will come up, barriers will come up. People will try to, take your energy or take your time, take your peace, but keep going. Um, even when you get into that relationship, still make it a priority. Still make it a priority. I going back to the gallon times, it really wasn't just for single women, but I know because of the brand that I'm creating, kind of this movement, I think more married women or women in relationships steered away from it. But I do believe like all women, can come together and not just single women. I appreciate my married friends who are women and the advice that they give me. And I know they don't always have as much free time as I do, but I still value those friendships. So I just wanted to add in that about for married women.
Are there any recommended tips for increasing self-love?
Yes, I was thinking about this question, and I have to give like a little disclaimer, kind of like do at your own risk. But because
I love that.
because some of these interventions that I have done with clients for homework, it can be triggering. It can bring up very different emotions. Um, so, but I will say, if you end up sharing this with anyone, people can always reach out to me. I feel very confident I can get people back to, their baseline at a good space. But one of my favorite things is connecting with our inner child. So I do some inner child work. I don't know if you're familiar with that, Brittany, um, but I love inner child work. It's a powerful tool. And part of the self love journey is also loving our younger selves. And because she has been through situations and experiences that she is not fully healed from and needs some extra love. So, what that could look like is whether it's watching a favorite TV show, whether it's from the 90s or my age is showing, but whatever your whatever your childhood generation was, or a favorite cartoon. And I know people will say this feels silly to do, but it is helpful in the moment. Cartoon, Disney movies, favorite
All
board
day.
games, video games. What did you say?
I said, oh my gosh, I'm like, that is me all day.
That's good. You connect with your inner child. Good. The other one that I will say on a deeper level is writing a letter to your younger self. Now, this is an exercise where people will say, like, I didn't want to do it, or it brought up too much. So I do recommend, if people are going to do this, to talk with somebody about it after a mental health therapist or coach, somebody who can help you with processing what might come up.
Why is it important for women to fall in love with themselves?
Um, I know I was kind of sharing this before, but I would say going back again to healing, the healing that will take place during the self-love journey, and how it will help future generations and past generations. Like, because I tell you, you're never too old or too young to be on this journey. Um, And so even people who are older than you, who see what you're doing, with whether it's making time for yourself or saying no more or setting boundaries or understanding your worth and your value, people will see that and will learn from that. You're modeling really strong core systems that is important and essential. And I really do feel it will help women to really tap into their calling, their purpose. Your purpose is bigger than just your 9 to 5, or even if you are a business owner, there's more for you that you need to do to really help change the world. So it's so much bigger than just that one person. That's
Of
overall.
course, of course, of course. Why is it important for women to talk about self-love and host events that honor this topic?
I think to bring more awareness to the self-love journey and what it really is about and what it really means. Again, I don't know if there's I think there's not enough education out there about the journey and what it really looks like and what digging deep looks like. I mean, I there's so many different factors again, because even like I went on a self-love journey with my hair. Like transitioning to going natural was a whole process for me. Why did this have to be a process? Because I had to relearn so much things from when I was younger, because I was made to feel that long, straight hair, kind of European look, is what is society's standard of being beautiful. And yeah, so there's so many, and my body, accepting my body how it is, and there's just, yeah, there's so many different areas of self-love, but it's important to bring more awareness about it. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, no, yes, you really are. Like, this is wonderful stuff. I love this.
Okay. Thanks.
Um, we have one, two, three, four more
Okay.
questions. What are some things that can happen to women if they don't make a habit of putting themselves first and increase their sense of self-love?
Mm. Yeah, I think what I've seen with clients and even with myself and with friends, from burnout to compassion fatigue, which is more particular to those of us in helping professions. Compassion fatigue is basically you become kind of numb to your clients or people you work with. You don't really, there's like this lackadaisical lack of energy that you have for people, lack of kind of empathetic, you just kind of don't care, kind of lose your drive to want to help people because you're burnt out. Or yeah, so it kind of it's similar to burnt out but more specific to helping professionals. What else could happen is you kind of, what I've heard people say is there's this lack of purpose, like I'm not sure why I'm here. I'm just kind of going through life, like again there's this lack of drive or understanding. I've seen where people have just, there's this like dissatisfaction with life, or nothing really sparks joy for them or humor, um because they haven't been like putting themselves first, or they're exhausted from trying to please everyone. So those are some of the common things that I've seen when people don't really take this deep self-love journey.
Okay. How can one identify if they need to make themselves a priority or increase self-love practices?
Mm. It's difficult because sometimes, yeah, we don't realize it, or we realize it when, so some key things are, if you're noticing that you're feeling like you lost your zest or your energy seems low for a certain amount of time, like we all have days where we're not going to be in our best spaces, but if it's going on for like weeks, that is a concern. You should speak to someone about it. I would also say, um, your question was about, oh, how do you know, or was it, your question was, how do you know, right? If you need to start practicing? Okay. I would also say, besides the symptoms, if you're just feeling overwhelmed a lot or exhausted, those are also like flags, things you may not be putting yourself first.
Why should women not rely on a relationship or partner to determine the love they want to experience?
Mhm. Well, because again, I think a couple things. One is when we truly fall in love with ourselves, I think we will attract a person who will be able to show us the same type of healthy love that we desire. So basically, and this is part of like a core belief of single ladies coaching is I believe when we have this very healthy love for ourselves and relationship with ourselves, we're not going to accept BS from men, from people, from employers, because we're going to understand our value. And so it's also about that. I think you attract the type of love that you show yourself. You will eventually attract that. So I think it's important to have this level of love for yourself before you get into a relationship.
And the last one, what inspired you to take a solo trip to Israel?
Oh, yes, I did see that question. So again, I was like on my spiritual journey or deep self-love journey, wanting to connect more with also God, because what also helped me get to the point was understanding how God views me and how God sees me. Um, and really I wanted the scriptures to come to life. Like I really wanted to understand why does God say I'm fearfully and wonderfully made in his image, and um what is so special about me. And yeah, so that's what really encouraged me to go solo. And then I met up with the travel group there. But yeah, again, being vulnerable and being open to women relationships, because all I knew was I'm meeting up with random women, and I'm going to be one of them is going to be my roommate. So I'm just like trusting God that he's going to connect me with. So my roommate was Allie, who was the esthetician. Yeah, so and Tanya was one of the other women, but she wasn't my roommate. But who I got, and it's so funny because I met those two women first. Those were the first two women that I met because we both got there. All three of us got there the earliest. Um, and so yeah, we just all connected. But I connected with all of the women, but obviously more of us connected on a deeper level and stayed in contact. So
That is
yeah.
wonderful. I'm like, when I saw that, I was like, Israel? I'm like, that is really dope. I'm like, oh my gosh. That I really like that.
Yes, check out my Facebook. I have pictures of us. We're like singing. Did you see?
No, I'm gonna have to go back and go and look though. I think that's really nice. I'm like, that is amazing. I think your story after the event, or if it wasn't after, it was before. I can't remember, but I saw the pictures. I think it was you, Tanya, and Allie. And if Tanya
Oh,
wasn't
yes.
in there, I know I saw Allie. I'm like, that is
Tanya,
so nice.
yes, I posted that picture. Yes, after the event, just thanking them. They have been just so supportive, and me being able to lean on them through the whole process and planning. And yeah, those is really my sisters. Like,
That is
yeah.
beautiful. That is really, really beautiful. But thank you so much, Latoya, for doing this. And
Oh,
again, for
you're
recording this, so I
welcome.
could go back and I could take my notes like, oh my gosh, this was an amazing interview. Like the answers, it's gonna be powerful. Now I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to angle it. Like the way how I'm going to angle it, I'm like, okay, it's gonna be better than what I imagined. So
Oh, good.
thank you again.
Do you have to type it up to
Yeah.
send it in? Okay.
Yep, I'm gonna listen, it's gonna
'Cause
get
I know
done.
you
She gonna get it
tomorrow.
before class starts tomorrow. Yes.
Good luck. Good luck. I hope
Thank
you
you
get a
so
high
much.
grade.
Yes.
And I'll send this to you. Usually once I'll stop recording.